Horizon Chance, and this is who decided how Germany would be divided after World War II. Why Channel History Matters. Yeah, this is a really good topic. Germany was split into East and West after World War II, but who decided how that would be done? To find out, okay. So, yeah, this reminds me of one thing, like how people say like Treaty of Versailles in World War One was kind of harsher. So, they didn't want to be harsher in World War II. But if you look at the surface of it, not go into too much detail, it looks like it was even more harsher in a way. Because after World War II, they didn't even allow Germany to be, right? They just basically took all the part of it and controlled it. Germany wasn't even a thing then after that, which was okay. At least after World War I, Weimar Republic and things like that, they existed at least. But after World War II, everybody just took their pieces. So yeah, this was interesting. All the way to the, fall of Iron Curtain. But yeah, this is really any time there is a topic like this, it's really interesting because like I said in the previous some of the videos from History Matters, like some of the back scene detail, nobody think of that, right? Germany was divided, okay, and people always focus on that part, but not like how the process worked, like what happens when everybody decided, okay, let's divide Germany up and how we're gonna do it. I don't see videos like that, so this is really interesting. Let's watch it. Remember, if you like my Rickson, don't forget to subscribe so I know which type of videos to react to more. Check out the Rickson, there's a link in the description, and yeah.
After the Second World War in Europe came to a close, Germany was divided into occupation zones which soon became East and West Germany. The Allies had divided their defeated enemy after a series of conferences and they decided on this. However, there were many different ideas put forward on how Germany would be split up, if at all. So how did they come to this decision? Why did the Allies choose to divide Germany up like this and not say like this? Come to this decision? Why did the Allies choose to divide Germany up like this?
Wait a minute, so that's, yeah, okay, that's Americans have that, Soviets, British, alright.
Not say like this or this. Well, the first series...
Wait a minute, isn't that... That's part of Prussia, right? So Brazil owns part of Prussia. That's Switzerland. Okay, that would be something.
The first serious discussions by the Allies on how to divide Germany were at the Tehran Conference in late 1943. At this meeting, Churchill took the lead. He publicly declared that he wanted the restoration of Austria-Hungary based on these borders and its annexation of Bavaria. Roosevelt at this time wasn't 100% sold on carving Germany up. Whereas Stalin said no, because 1, he was in control of Hungary at this point and he wasn't about to hand it over, and 2, he felt that giving it Bavaria would just give a future Germany a grievance. As such, by the end of the conference, the Allies had sort of maybe agreed to carve up Germany potentially, but none of them knew exactly how.
Okay, wait a minute, so everybody besides Churchill like, yeah, we don't know if we should do this or not, and Soviet, obviously it's like, okay, we have this part of, we don't want to give that up, so no, we're not gonna took it apart. So basically, Churchill still had the unification of Germany in his mind, and he's like, fuck that, we are not having this, so let's go back, revert back to how it was.
In February 1945, as Germany was well on its way to losing, the Allies met once again in Yalta, and this meeting was to determine how Germany would be divided. At this point, the British had somewhat cooled off on the whole division thing, because that would mean occupation, which would cost money, which Britain did not have. Whereas the Soviets would accept dividing...
Damn, so he was so excited first, but then he just, I guess, went back and looked at the ledger like, fuck me, there is no money left anymore. Yeah, that is something.
In Germany, so long as they got some of it, and the Americans were now very pro-dismemberment. Again, there was no agreement on the specifics, but the Allies did agree to set up a joint committee on carving up Germany whose first act was to exclude France. The committee never really did anything though because everybody had their own ideas, especially Stalin, who had changed his mind and just stated publicly that he would oppose a divided Germany. The British and the Americans though had been working together.
Alright, seriously, I'm just trying to picture as soon as he said things about France, like seriously man, imagine that in Europe basically around that time where all the European powers, like Britain, Russia, Soviet Union basically, right, Americans, everybody just getting together for meeting, yeah, we're not going to include France. I mean, it's understandable, right? Why would they include France? But still, imagine being the leader of France at the time, just in the France basically, any civilian just thinking, oh fuck me, we are not included in this one. I mean, France has been like global power in Europe for a long time, just like Britain and Prussia, Germany, things like that. But now France is excluded. That's something.
For a plan on how to divide Germany, and US Secretary of the Treasury Henry Morgenthau had come up with a detailed plan on how to do just that. Under his plan, France would be given this territory, Denmark this, and Poland would get these lands. This chunk in the west would become an international zone run by the new United Nations and would become deindustrialized. And the rest of Germany would be split into two new sovereign states, North Germany and South Germany. This plan was very unpopular, except with Roosevelt, who approved. Churchill was reluctant to assent, but when Roosevelt offered Britain a bunch of money, he changed his mind. Everyone else, though, thought it was terrible. And as such, the plans were quickly dropped and everybody ignored the problem until Germany surrendered. At this point, Germany was occupied by the Allies, and both the USSR and the Western Allies wanted to make sure their zones of occupation were more sensible. As such, American troops withdrew to here and these occupation zones were formally established. That said, neither side saw these as how Germany would be split into new territories. Stalin openly opposed any dissolution of Germany because he was confident that with the Communist Party established in the east, maintaining a unified state would make it easier to spread into the west. As tensions between both sides rose and the Cold War began in earnest, neither side wanted to do anything to damage their own interests. This meant that the Allies abandoned East Germany to the Soviet sphere and began to merge their own zones to form West Germany. And this was completed in 1949. None of this had been planned, but given that both sides weren't so sure about how long peace would last between—
Seriously, man, imagine that. Holy shit. I didn't know that it was that chaotic. So they couldn't agree on how to divide Germany from the beginning all the way to the end. They're still like, okay, what should we do? And by that point, Cold War is kind of just started, right? So nobody's like, okay, we don't want to do anything. Immediately after that, just in few decades, World War II, catastrophic World War II. And now you have this kind of a weird friction between, as soon as it's over, there's still a weird friction between Soviet, Americans, British, like somewhat of a Cold War is kind of, you can smell that. Nobody want to do anything to destabilize anything because they just went through the fucking World War II. So Cold War kind of started, nobody want to do anything. Nobody want to jeopardize anything, even their interests or whatever. So it just kind of like winging it. Slowly just became this thing like, East Germany, West Germany. That's just fucked up.
Between them, an ad hoc solution was all they had, which is why, in the end, Germany was divided into East and West and not any other way.
Yeah.
I hope you enjoyed this episode, and a special thanks to my patrons, James Bisonet, Kelly Moneymaker, Sky Chappelle, Corsho Wolf, Jerry Lambdin, Jordan Longley, Adam Stalter, Marcus Arsner, YN Hockey, Spencer Lightfoot, Rod D. Mar—
Yeah, okay. So if you really think about it, in the end, it's just Stalin is the reason why this happened, right? Because Stalin didn't want to divide it at all, because he thought if we just, take the eastern side, eventually entire Germany will kind of become the Soviet thing, right? Because of the revolution. So he didn't want to divide at all. And that's kind of, halted all the process in a way. All the way to the end, like East and West. No agreement, it just became East and West. Because Stalin didn't want to do anything. Otherwise, it would have been divided. Right? So that's just fucked up. So when people talk about in World War II how it wasn't harsher like World War I, right? How the punishment wasn't harsher, I guess you can understand that, like, that there was lots of detailed process, like, how to give, money to which country, this and that, right? Like how they squeezed out Germany in World War I, after World War I, how there was a complete, collapse of economy after World War I in Germany. They didn't do that, but it's still divided, and they wanted to divide it. Right, but they couldn't because Stalin didn't agree. But in the end, it became East and West type of thing. But yeah. Well, that was who decided how Germany would be divided after World War II. Well, channel History Matters. If you like my reaction, don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you next time.